Hey everyone, it's Melanie of Art Studio 320. This week's project is an end table. I believe it's solid maple. It is really heavy. You wouldn't think it would be that heavy. It's so open and not much to it, but it is solid and I want to have some fun with this one. So stick around. No matter how big or small your piece that you're working on is, you always want to clean it unless it's painted because you don't want all that dirt getting into your sandpaper. And all I use is vinegar and water, just 1 part vinegar and 1 part water. Whatever I'm sanding, I start with 100 grit, go to 120, and then go to 220 in that order. And I get really smooth wood. My goal for this little piece was to create some artwork that I am familiar with, something that I love to draw, and that is called a mandala. A mandala is a graphic and often symbolic pattern, usually in the form of a circle. That is a very simple definition of what can be a very complicated design, but that's where I start. Now, of course, I've always told my students, once you learn the rules, then you can break them. I'm not interested in trying to make a design that is symmetrical, meaning it is the same on all sides. If you were to cut it in half, you wouldn't be able to tell one side from the other. You can create balance without symmetry, and I'm not about perfection. I want something that's interesting to look at. And I find that things that are interesting to look at are not symmetrical, they're asymmetrical, but still balanced. Now, this design I consider to be a whimsical design. I have different ideas that I like to use, and this particular one is more of an organic shape, kind of rounded edges. It's kind of silly shapes. It just gives you a feeling of joy. It's not something that's serious. It's not necessarily an optical illusion. It's just something fun to look at. When you start a mandala, you build. You start in the center, at least that's how I start. And from there, you start small and you build out from there. And the way I do it, I don't really have necessarily an idea in my head beforehand. I just kind of go and as I look at the shapes, see how I want to build on them. And that's all I do. I don't have this big grand scheme. Sometimes I have an idea ahead of time, but I do not have a design in my head that I am putting onto paper, or in this case, wood. It's all in the moment, and I think that's where the meditative part of drawing a mandala is, or in this case, painting one. I've been drawing mandalas for years, and one of the things that I've kind of taught myself to do is to train my eye by not using a ruler, and I don't use a pencil when I'm drawing shapes overall. Sometimes I use a pencil just to give me an idea, but overall I do not use a pencil. I just use a marker. But in this case, I'm using a paintbrush and paint, and it's a little harder to control. And I'm usually determined to make the design work no matter what happens. But in this case, it was a project that I was trying to sell, and it was something that if I didn't change it now, I may get to a point where I hated it and end up sanding off the whole thing, and I didn't want to do that. So the little circles on the tips of the petals, I started to build on those, and as I built on them, it felt too heavy, and I thought, I'm not sure I like this. And of course, I went all the way around thinking, well, let me finish and let's see how it goes. Well, you can see that I didn't want to go any further. I decided to sand them off. I had that opportunity, and you see here, there was one petal that was really not balancing with the rest of my mandala. So I sanded it off and put it back in, and I was much happier. I think you can tell it's much more balanced now than it was before. I was having fun with this piece. That was my goal. And so on the sides, I decided to make some little doodle designs that I think are really fun. And I started with measuring. I wanted them to be, the same place on both sides. So I started in the center and worked my way out from there. And really, that's all up to you, how you want to do that. I'm using the eraser tip for my circles. That is really the best way to get a nice circle when you're painting. And then I'm just using some more whimsical designs that, again, you build on. It's not the same as doing it in a circle. And again, they don't have to be perfect for it to look fun. In fact, it's better if they're not perfect because they look more whimsical when they aren't. As I went along with this design, I started to feel like perhaps I was doing too much. And of course, I kept going because I thought, well, let me finish and see what it looks like. But I could have left it and it probably would have been all right. But I thought that perhaps it was just it wasn't what I wanted. So I ended up sanding off some of the design and leaving the top part of the design. And really, that's just an aesthetic thing. If you want something that goes all the way down, then go for it. It just wasn't feeling like something I wanted at that point. And again, it's a personal choice. It's not something that's right or wrong. It's just what you want to do. I thought I would go with just the natural color, but I did end up using some stain. I used an antique oak, but you can see here, there were some areas that were not staining right. They were blotchy. I really couldn't tell you what the problem was. Maybe when I was sanding, I missed a spot. It didn't look like that, but I went ahead and took some mineral spirits, wiped it all off, and sanded it again. The mandala that I put on the inside of the end table started out more geometric, and then as I went along, I created more whimsical shapes, and at the end, it was much more playful and fun to go with the mandala on the top of the table. I was so excited because I thought I had a pull that would work on the drawer, but when I tried to put it on, it was just a hair off. So I just took my drill bit and messed with the holes a little bit, made them a little bit bigger so I could get the pull to fit, and it worked. Well, friends, that's all I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little different. I focused on the actual painting of a mandala or a mandala. You can say either one. And this is something I've been doing on paper for a very long time with micro pens. And those are like really, really fine markers. And I have challenged myself over the years not to use a pencil first, so that if I take a wrong turn on my drawing, I have to challenge myself to incorporate that into my drawing, and it forces me to change direction. I don't always know what I'm going to do. I didn't really know what I was going to do with this. I just kind of let it tell me, again, just like furniture. But there were a couple things that I did end up erasing, but furniture is different than paper, and I am wanting to sell this, so I want it to be appealing. I hope that I accomplished that, and I hope that I have inspired you to try this on your furniture. Don't panic. If you want to learn more about how to draw a mandala, you can check out that video on my channel. I will leave the link for that in the description box below. Thanks for being here. Good luck on your next project, and I will see you next time.
You can do it.
Hey, thanks for watching my video. You can find more videos just like this on my YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe.